Cheers.
Cheers. Today's coffee break, we are actually having a local brew from Summer Moon Coffee. It's one of our favorites. I'm personally drinking a quarter moon with soy milk. And what's David drinking? I think just a black coffee with some milk, right?
Some almond milk, yeah, I enjoy it.
Exactly. Cool thing about Summer Moon, we like to support local, and Summer Moon opened up their first location in 2005, right on South First. And since then, what is that, 16 years or so, they've opened up more than 20 locations in all around Texas. So pretty cool. If you haven't had it, it's delicious.
Yeah.
They have some really great tasting options and very unique. So
cool vibe.
Yeah, exactly. We like to support local. So today we are going to be talking about a common question that comes up. A common question that comes up is, when you are thinking about selling, and this market tends to have people wondering that question, right? How much can I sell my house for? The next question that usually follows is, and where would I go?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
That's the age-old question to figure out, you know, the process, the timing of all of that. If you're moving away from Austin, if you're moving within Austin, something to think about. So we'd love to kind of just talk more about that.
I mean, I think the big thing that people really need to think about, for sure, at any point, but like truly, why are you wanting to move, right? I mean, you know, for people that are moving very quickly, and it's because of the return on their investment and the amount that their homes appreciated so quickly, right? For some people, that's their main why, and they want to just do that and they'll figure it out, right? But I think what we were talking about before this, as far as selling and then buying, or buying first and then selling, or is there an in-between, right? I mean, is there a property that's going to need to be leased for long-term or near-term, right? Because even then, it's about managing expenses during that time frame. If you're selling for your reason of financial gain, you need to make sure you're being aware of any you know, in-between times of the money not being invested into another property.
Right.
Right.
And we really can, as a team, we can make it happen in any way for our clients. So it is kind of just digging deeper and figuring out the logistics of it. Can you buy before you sell? Can you sell and then buy? It's one of those things that you're going to need to discuss with a real estate professional to talk about your logistics, your specific scenario, so that way they can map out the best game plan.
I mean, if I can give one piece of advice to conclude on it, would be start sooner than later and get connected, you know, with somebody like us, where we would open up an initial call to understand some of these thought processes that people are thinking about, right? And why they're thinking it. And then, you know, our job is to then come up with potentially, you know, there are options, but to be able to just kind of talk to them through that, right? And you want to have time to be able to prepare for these things, for sure. Give yourself time, for sure.
Yeah, and confidence that it can happen regardless of which method you go through. Like we were saying, there's it can happen simultaneously, or it can happen one after the other. But
it can happen sooner. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it can happen sooner rather than later. So it's about having that confidence in which decision you do make, because ultimately it is possible. It's just going to be whatever works best for your situation, your timeline, and any other external factors.
What's one thing for somebody to look out when they're doing that, or what's one piece of advice that you would give for, you know, somebody who's interested in moving? They have a current home and they're looking at potentially making a move. I mean, what would you tell them to look out for, or piece of advice?
I think it all comes down to, I mean, I think the most important part is the cost of everything, right? The cost of selling your home, the cost of buying your home. If you can buy without selling your home, so that it maybe is a little bit, you have a little bit more confidence to say that the timeline, it does matter still, but it's not as tight of a timeline. And then, you know, all the things that go into selling your home and figuring that out, including, do you have to pay capital gains taxes? Because obviously if you sell your home and you're making enough of a proceed, or if you've had it as an investment property, you maybe aren't making as much as you thought you were, right? So there are those different things that maybe you want to think through with a professional and talk about to make sure that what you expect to get out of this and put towards another property to purchase is going to be what you actually get.
Okay. There's obviously a good amount of things that somebody can think about. I think the quality is in starting sooner, having those types of questions, answering those types of questions too, you know, for yourself, and then, you know, being able to have a team help you execute a plan, you know.
Exactly. I think that's what it's all about, just figuring out your game plan if that's what you want to make happen. We're also of the mindset that let's talk about your why. Like you said, I think that's
Yeah.
the most important part. Let's talk about your why, because if it doesn't need to happen at all, if it doesn't need to happen right now, that's something that you should decide before you actually start going through this process.
One of the things I guess I would close on is there's even ways to be able to cash out without actually even selling it and, you know, moving, right? So selling and buying, right? There are so many facets to the real estate industry. I think that's what we love about it. We're happy to be able to talk to you about your options in any scenario.
Mm-hmm.
This is about selling and buying, or, you know, doing the latter first.
Yeah.
But anything else you wanted to share?
No, I think that if anybody has any questions, that you can reach out to us. We're happy to just have a very casual conversation. And the next step, if someone was interested, would be scheduling a consultation with us so that we can go through your specific scenario and figure out what the game plan is for you.
For sure.